everyone doing? I see some old friends from Sunnyvale. Welcome. All right, so let's get started. If you want to be on time, the sprint starts on time, right? So this is our 48th event. I was just counting the other day. 48. It's almost like 4 years. Yeah. We've been doing this consistently every month for so many years, and 2 years right here in this hall, 2 years in Sunnyvale. And I'm proud to say we are a community of about 1,575 people. It's great to have all of you part of that, so thank you so much for this engagement. And it's great to see a community building here as well. So I'm especially happy, and just want to make sure your time is precious, and I want to make sure that we get the right kind of speakers here, and want to make sure that they are all rich in knowledge, rich in network, and rich in everything that they share here. It's also an opportunity for you to share what you have learned. So if you are the first timer, you will see how this event will go. But we're going to do a lot of sharing, a lot of learning together. What you see over there, if you're the first timer, there's the first one over there is called the Spider Web Retrospective. That's where we write, what should we start doing? After the event, you might have some great ideas. So take a look at that. You can stick a nice sticky note there. The stickies are right there with the permanent marker. So you can write your ideas. You can also write something that we should not be doing. It may not be productive, so stop doing. Do more, do less, continue doing. That's something that you loved about this session. So it's a great retrospective, and during the break, after the event, feel free to express your opinion there. The next one over there is takeaways. Whatever takeaways you take from the session tonight, not just from the session here, but from the lightning talk we have. I'm going to talk about that in a moment. But the lightning talk, you get a lot of knowledge from there. Also, networking with each other during the break. You get a lot of takeaways from this event, and we want to make sure we are giving you the right kind of environment to get the best takeaway and worth the evening for you to come here, in this heavy traffic. The next one is some announcements. So if you have some announcement that, for example, if you are trying to hire people, or if you have training opportunities, some people are into training, so if you have any training coming up and you want to offer a discount to this beautiful community, that's that announcement board, that's where you can do that. And the fourth one is job board. So if you're looking for an opportunity, or if you're seeking probably for a job, if you're looking for people for your organization, that's the board you want to utilize. And sticky notes is your best friend here. You have it right on all the tables. So having said that, coming to the point about lightning talk, I want to talk about that a little bit. Who are the first timers here? First timers? Whoa, that's great. Welcome. Half of the room. Super. All right. So here's about the lightning talk. This particular meetup is so special that we just don't want this interaction to be one way. It has to be a two-way interaction. So one way is, of course, why you have come here, the featured speaker, and the talk that we have. Great. But the other one is about you coming on the stage. If you have anything about your Agile experience, your Agile journey, anything. Agile is such a big topic, it may not be about sprints. Remember, it could be big Agile topics, anything that you can share here. You'll get 3 minutes, counting down 3 minutes. Okay? And we already have one who has been volunteered, so we have 2 more spaces with me, and 3 minutes each. So we'll do the lightning talks one after each other, right after the break. So we'll start now, we'll break at 7 o'clock, we'll come back after the break at 7:15, we'll do the lightning talks for 10 minutes. From there, we will go back into the main featured topic, and then we will adjourn at about 8:15. So that's the plan. During the break or after the break, if you have a topic that you want to talk about during the lightning talks, come see me with a sticky note and your name on it and the topic, title of the topic that you want to talk about for 3 minutes. It's not a big deal. Each one of us, I'm sure, speaks more than 3 minutes. So take a chance, be here. A lot of people want to network with you then, right? So make sure you are one of those. Now, coming back to our topic tonight. I know Andrew for a while, for about 4 years now. And he has been one of us, sitting on one of those chairs back in Yahoo, right here as well. Such a dear friend. And he has contributed to build this community up along with all of you together. And I'm so happy to have him here. I've seen him grow. I've seen him from day one. I'm like, who is this guy? Talking all stuff. Good stuff here. Right? And I always was fascinated by his comments during the topics that we always had here once a month. From there to getting surprised that, whoa, okay, he actually works at Visa, and by the time he left Visa and went to PayPal, I joined Visa on the same floor in the same division. So that's what Andrew is. He has a very meticulous way of doing Agile, but at the same time, I would say it's really getting you free off of all kinds of heavy processes. He is wired. He's wired literally in such a way that will get you all kinds of process freedom, but will get you into a good bond that will, in a team. And that has, the way, this is nothing written on his resume, by the way. I'm saying what I think about him. So that's what Andrew is, $20, okay? That's the $20. This hand? No? All right. Thank you so much. But that's what Andrew is. So without further ado, please welcome Andrew Webster.
Thank you. Wow, I'm going to borrow you again for the introductions. That was very good. Thank you very much. So as Anoop said, my name is Andrew Webster. I'm an enterprise agile transformation coach, trainer, speaker, and author. And if somebody could come up with a shorter job title for me, I'd be so grateful. I have a long history, and I'm not going to bore you with it to get things started. You'll hear a bit about me as we go along. What we're going to talk about tonight, hands up if you've ever had that experience where you're around people like, yeah, that Agile, it should, but it doesn't. We tried Agile. No, it doesn't work. Yeah? Or maybe you're like, actually, I have really no idea. I've never really seen Agile being done. I'm just curious. Anybody like that? Yeah, good. Very good. So let me get a bit of a sense. Any engineers in here? Yeah, figured. Jolly good. Any project managers? People managers? Anybody C-level? Couple? Very good. Very good. Anybody I've missed? Marketing or legal? Very good. Chief cook, bottle washer? No, very good. Very good. Good. So what we're going to be dealing with is exactly that. Giving people back an Agile appetite, or maybe even creating it for the first time. Okay? I've worked in so many places where it feels like they've got Agile PTSD. They're like, dude, just don't, really, just don't. We tried it, really don't. And that's excruciating, because if I had to summarize Agile, for starters, I'd say it's not a thing. We use the word Agile like it's a thing. It's not. Agile is an adjective. There's Agile software development. There's Agile engineering. There's Agile teaching. There's Agile law. There's Agile accounting. There's Agile medicine. Right? There's Agile thinking. And if you do not think that way, it's not going to make any sense to you. And so over a period of time, I got used to introducing to people some of these underlying ideas, and eventually I boiled it down into the presentation that you're going to see tonight. There is a lot of material for us to cover. As we go through the deck, there are going to be exercises I'll have you do. That's why there are cards on the table. So I'm going to make a request. Please do not put your hand up to ask a question. Instead, the exercise will either handle it or you can put it on a sticky and we'll deal with it as we get towards the end. There's going to be a bit of time set aside for dealing with questions towards the end. Okay? But otherwise, I know me, I'll get fascinated by somebody's question. We'll go down a rat hole. We'll be here until next Thursday. Okay? Good, so let's get underway. So we'll start by setting you up in an exercise. Grab a card, and what you're going to write on it is 3 concepts, 3 ideas that you think we might cover tonight. You may not even have 3, but if you do, put them down. And once you've got them down, put a big 1 in the bottom corner of the card, because we're going to come back to it. Just give you a minute to do that. Three things. Because you can bet you come into this with some preconceptions, with some ideas, with some, I know what he's going to talk about. Let's see. Very good. Welcome. Hello. Okay, how are we doing? Anybody want another few seconds? Well, good. I'm still seeing people writing. Good. Okay. Well, let's get underway. So let me ask you a question. How much do you know? Well, it could be about everything. It could be about work. It could be about a project that you're thinking about. But let me put it this way. When you're first about to get started with something, if this circle represents everything you could know about it, how much do you think you actually know at the beginning? I maybe exaggerate slightly for the sake of effect. Let's be a little bit more generous. Let's say it's this slice. And this is what you know that you know. And the test for knowing that you know is that you can actually take action, right? You can plan something and execute on the plan. You know this, right? There's going to be another slice, which is what you know that you don't know. And that's the stuff that you might buffer for, right? You want to allow a little bit of extra to handle that. So what's all of this? What's all that?
I don't know that I don't know.
You don't know that.
Thank you. Exactly. It's what you don't know that you don't know. Oh, sorry, that was the thing that was telling you that it was time to finish that exercise.
Oh.
Good. There we go. What do we do without that? There we go. Now, inside what you don't know that you don't know, do you think there's going to be more work in there or less? Do you think there are going to be surprises in there? Yeah. This is why, when, I think it was Hewlett-Packard, don't quote me, I might be wrong, they did a big exercise where they reviewed about 400 projects. And they found that of these 400 projects, a very tiny percentage of them came in under budget. A very tiny percentage came in approximately on budget. And the vast majority came in over budget, some of them orders of magnitude over budget. That's why. Because of this. Now, the few that came in under budget were because of this last little slice, what you don't know that you do know. That stuff where you go, oh, we've done this before, I forgot. Right? So what we're trying to do is to move that slice around, and move it around to a point where if this is a project that we're working on, we get it to a point where the people who are going to benefit from that project can actually benefit from it. Right? But it is hubris in our world of software development to think that we actually know ahead of time everything we could possibly know about something we've never done before. Because it's software. If we'd done it before, we'd use that. Right? So there's always going to be a dirty, great big chunk of what we don't know that we don't know. So how do we manage that? Right? Well, let's pop that away in the corner, because how this is going to work. You know that old story about the blind man says it's a snake, and the other blind man says, no, it's a pillar, no, it's a wall, no, it's a branch. Turns out it's an elephant. Well, we're rather going to be doing that. All right? There's going to be a whole bunch of different dimensions. By the time we're done, you're going to be going, oh, I get it. That's how come Agile. Got it. So, a tangent. This represents the population of the planet over about the last 10,000 years. Okay? Actually a bit longer, about 12,000 years. And I've actually given talks just about literally this one slide for like 90 minutes. Because the thing is that actually, really, I'm interested in what goes back a lot further, about 200,000 to 300,000 years. Quick check. Hands up anybody here that's not human. That's a relief. There's usually one or two. That's good. Okay. But the point is that we're all human, right? And humans, as us, Homo sapiens, have been around for around about 200,000 to 300,000 years. That's 10 to 15,000 generations. And we made it. We're here. Now we did that because there were 2 or 3 things we were really good at. We got really good at being safe. A, by being social, because we're weak, squishy, and delicious, and on our own, the bear will get us, right? The second one is, you like that, Steve? You can have that. That's all right, good. That's all right. Thanks, Mum. The second one is that we are really good at taking patterns of experience from the past that were useful to us, that we survived, and using them to predict and react to the future. Now, as hunter-gatherers, for 200,000 odd years, that worked pretty well. And then somewhere back in, where are we? Around about in here, agriculture happened. Everything started to change. And in particular, in around about, where are we? About here, the Industrial Revolution happened. Now, it had taken us that long to get to roughly 1 billion people on the planet. In the next 200 years, we went to 7 billion. 200,000 years to 1 billion, 200 to 7. So this thing got good at dealing with patterns from the past to deal with the future in the context of seasonal or even generational change. Anybody got a Twitter account? Right. It is no longer seasonal change. We live in a world that accidentally we've created of almost instant change, right? That curve is a great proxy for the pace of change. And we have no equipment between our ears that's designed to handle that. We haven't had a chance to get used to it. Oops. And then we're in a world where we're like, gosh, work was tough this week. Funny that. So let's tuck that on one side. And we're going to take another moment. I'll just show you a couple of things real quick. If you had to write a quiz question, what would it be? From the 2 things I've shown you already, write down a quick question. You're going to quiz somebody else. How many generations have we been around as Homo sapiens? I don't know, something like that. Just stick that down. And when you've put it down, pass it to the right. And when you get one coming in from your left, don't worry about reading it just yet. We'll come back to it later. So write a quiz question. When you've written it, make sure that you write number 2 on the bottom, because we're going to keep track of these cards, and pass it to your right. Okay? So number 1 was the one with the 3 concepts. Number 2, you've just written a quiz question, pass it to your right. Good. So I'm going to tell you a story. So this one time, I came into work early in the morning. I'm not very good early in the morning, right? Not my best time. And I get into work, and I get into the elevator, and this guy gets on behind me, big tall guy, he's wearing a suit. That's always a bit of a worry in our world. But anyhow, push the button, doors close, up starts the elevator, and it gets stuck. Oops. So anyhow, I figure we'll be there for a few minutes. I turn to this guy, and I'm like, hi, I'm Andrew, I'm the Agile coach. And this guy goes, really? I'm the chief financial officer. Well, this Agile thing's probably a bit of a waste of time, isn't it? So, well, I can see you might think that. We're going to be here for a minute. Would you mind if I explain it to you? Maybe you must. Well, it just so happened that I had a PowerPoint presentation with me. Right. And this is what I showed you. So consider a project, right? Down the side, we have tested features. Along the bottom, we have time. Now, tested features are going to be a proxy for business value. I'll unpack that a bit as we go through. But typically, what this sets up would be some kind of goal. We want a certain amount of business value, a certain set of tested working features by a certain point in time, right? Sound normal? Now, if we're going to take a traditional approach, what it would look like is something like this. You do a bunch of analysis. No tested working features. You do a bunch of design. No tested working features. You do a build, getting close, but they're still not tested. Now you start testing, and oh crap, we're late. And we only found out there, where it's too late to do anything about it. Why are we late? Because of what we didn't know that we didn't know, right? Huh. So now, if you're going to take an agile approach, it's an iterative and incremental approach. The first way, you create a plan and work the plan. This way, you replan all the time for value. And it kind of looks like this. We go a little bit of everything. Analyze, design, build, test. We do a bit more. Analyze, design, build, test. And that allows us to extrapolate out. Look, see, if we're going to do the same work, we'd probably get to the same place. But this means that this early, you can start to make some decisions to manage that risk. You could go, you know what, let's settle for a smaller feature set, because that data is important. You might go, oh, let's go later, because the features are important. You might be stuck and need to do both, in which case you're going to have to spin up another team, so that you can actually change the rate of delivery. Top tip, please don't think that you can speed things up by adding people to teams. It just increases the complexity of communication inside the team. It will slow them down. Don't do it. Spin up another team. Saga's nodding. Yes. Good. So we've got these two lines, right? So this guy, remember, he's a CFO, Chief Financial Officer. He doesn't care about this. He's interested in the money. So first way, what does it look like? You spend a lot of money, right? I don't know, let's say 4 million for the sake of doing some math, all right? What have you created? A boatload of risk. Because you've got no idea whether what you've done is going to be any good at all. How would you know? These aren't yet tested working features in the hands of people who actually care and might give you money for it. It's all a big guess. You're risking that 4 million, you're risking your reputation, and you don't know, right? Well, let's say you've got a happy ending, it all works out. A bit later, you've made $5 million. Phew! We're $1 million ahead. Let's say,
Well,
right? Be nice, wouldn't it?
if it takes that long, you're not really $1 million ahead, actually.
No, exactly, but let's keep it simple. Now, if you go with an agile, iterative, and incremental approach, what you try and do is go, let's just do a little bit of work and pay attention to what's the highest value. Now, I'll unpack what we mean by value later, because it's not that straightforward. But just bear with me for now. Then we do it again, then we do it again, and we keep doing it in little tiny bursts until we get to a point where we can go, you know what? This we could sell and not disappoint people. Right? This actually is the minimum marketable feature that we could get out there. Look how much risk that creates. And the point is that because we keep reprioritizing for highest value, that weights it towards the front. Look at that curve. Let's do a little bit of math. That way, 25% return on investment? Yeah, that's all right. But it took a while to get there. This way, you spent less money, you made less money, but the return on investment is 3 times the other way. Now, this is just an example, that's not a law, right? But you get the point? Because you haven't done all of the rest of that stuff that it turns out nobody cared about. This is the important stuff. So why wouldn't you just stop and do it again? And stop and do it again? Which one would you pick? Well, when I actually did this, I was just drawing this out on a piece of paper, and the CFO took it. And things were never the same again. This is why businesses are interested in agile software development. None of the rest of it. Right? I'm not a breadhead, I'm an old hippie. But I know you can't do any of this if it isn't for the money, right? The money is the energy that gets this stuff done. It's the stuff that has us have our lives, right? Sorry, it's what we live in. So what are you going to do? Pick a way that creates risk and lower return on investment? Or pick a way that reduces risk and increases return on investment? You got it. You get it, yeah? Good. So we'll tuck that one to one side. Now, a little bit more about value. See, the thing is, don't acknowledge this if it sounds familiar. There's a lot of managers who are really just interested in productivity, keeping their guys busy doing stuff. So what? Really, how does that help, keeping them busy doing stuff? Who cares? Well, it's actually kind of a good question. Let me show you what I mean. We've got another one of these little charts for you. Here you go. So, on the side we've got value, the bang, and on the bottom we've got effort, the buck. Now, if you don't pay any attention to the relative value of what it is that you're working on, it makes sense to do the biggest, hairiest thing first, right? So you do this one, and then you move on to the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and so on, right? But what if you did have a way of actually assessing the relative value of each of these things? It might have a very different look to it. Look at that. Now, if you're doing that, this allows you to actually work out what's the best bang for the buck that you could get. Said another way, you see how this one is tall and thin? It's got a very steep slope to it. Put that one first. And then the next, and then the next, and the next, and the next. Look at the difference. That way, that's the curve of creation of value over time. That way, that's the curve, right? Interesting, huh? Oh, look at this. Going that way, it takes that long to get to very nearly the top of the value curve. To get to the same amount of value the other way, it takes nearly twice as long. Why would you ever do that long, thin black one? Why would you ever do that? Anybody here a product owner or a product manager? That's your job in a nutshell, right? That. Actually, it takes a bit longer to train a product owner, but in a way, that's your job in a nutshell. You get it? That little sequence there is actually 3 animated slides. I've done presentations on just those and had people like, oh my God, I just got what you're talking about, this whole thing. We've just been paying attention to doing work. Who cares about work? We're here because there are customers out there who are willing to give us money. Oh, we forgot about them. So, here's what we're going to do next. You now have somebody else's quiz question in front of you. Go ahead and write an answer on it. All right? Just take a moment. You don't need to overthink this.
It's like 200,000 years ago. Was how far back it went.
And you're getting a test on this later, so you've got to take this seriously. All right? I'm not seeing people taking it seriously. Pretty good. As soon as you've answered it, take another card And what you're going to write on it is a different question. This time, I want you to write a question on it that's actually a question that you've got about something that I've shown you already. Right? Now, you may want to save this one up and actually put something on it later, but this is the idea. Could be, well, what do you actually mean by value? How do you measure that? Could be, where do you buy those wonderful red socks? Could be, is that an English or an Australian accent? I don't care, put a question down there, right? It's English, by the way.
Yeah. I'm sure my method
Okay.
is totally unsound. What was
So once you finish writing that question, guess what you're going to do with those two cards, 2 and 3? You're going to pass them to the right. If the question is, how does this stupid exercise work again? I get it. Cards numbers 2 and 3, pass them to your right. Okay?
I'm sorry, is that an example?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And the question is, well, what's it?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Good. One of those technical ones.
Yeah. Content question.
Okay, we good? Say yes, Andrew.
Yes.
Very good. Good. Okay, let's move on. So, who here speaks Welsh? Really? Good Lord. Okay. Well, as of tonight, you'll be able to boast that you know at least one Welsh word. Huh? Hey? Don't say we're not good to you. All right? Cynefin. It's not Sinofin, it's Cynefin. 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 All right? And the Cynefin framework comes from the whole world of systems thinking, and it's a sense-making framework. It's a way that you can actually go, what on earth is going on in front of us? All right? So let me show it to you. Kind of looks like this. You've got 4 different areas: obvious, complicated, complex, and chaotic. Now, things that are down in the obvious, simple connection between cause and effect. Right? This is your known knowns. It's something where you could, I'll give you an example, where you can just sense, categorize, and respond. So, like, what's this? Pen. Right, good. So all you had to do to sense it was to look at it. Then you could categorize it, pen, and you'd know how to respond to it. Write with it, right? And this is the area of best practice. When I get in my car, the best practice is to put the key in, make sure that I'm not in gear so I don't do anything stupid, start it, off I go. Works like a charm, every time, right? Now up here, we have complicated, where there's a more subtle connection between cause and effect. They're not always immediately obvious. This is your known unknowns, and this is where we get into sense, analyze, respond, and good practice. So you remember you said this was a pen? Well, the thing is, it doesn't actually write. That's odd. It's because it's not a pen, it's my magic agile pointing stick, right? But it took some analysis to actually figure that out. So when I get in the car and it goes, it needs an expert. This is the area of expertise, somebody that will know what might mean. And they have some good practices, not necessarily best practices, good practices for understanding what's going on there, right? Now over here we've got complex. This is where cause and effect. You cannot tell ahead of time what effect a cause is going to have in the complex realm. So you lie on your back and there's a cute little fluffy cloud. And 10 minutes later, it's a dirty, great, big fluffy cloud. Did you know that when you were looking at the cute little fluffy cloud? No. If you took a video, you could see how one became the other, but it's only afterwards you can see how that happened, right? So let's say I'm driving along and suddenly there's a loud bang and smoke pours out from under the hood. Actually, that's maybe more than chaotic. But nonetheless, I would not know what it was that just caused that. I'd only know that it had been caused, right? And this is where you actually have to fiddle with things before you can actually sense what's going on and respond to it. This is the realm of emergent practice, where you have to make something up, right? You got it?
Getting an old car smog legal.
Exactly. Getting an old car smog legal. Good. I'm using that. Thank you. Down here, chaotic, cause and effect, never mind. This is unknowable. This is where the house is on fire. Act, get out of the house, right? And you may have to come up with some novel practice, like jumping out of the bedroom window. You wouldn't normally do this, okay? So here's why I'm telling you this. Over here, in obvious, that's when senior management go, we just need a commitment. They think that what you're doing is in the obvious realm, and that you know exactly how it's going to go. Engineers love playing in the complicated realm. You give them a problem, they'll figure it out. Yeah? The trouble is that an awful lot of what we're actually dealing with, particularly in the world of innovation, is up in complex. How? And yet you try telling the sales guys that. And as for chaotic, well, I'll come back to chaotic. Let's just tip this thing on its back. We've got these four, right? Obvious, known, complicated, knowable, complex, unknown, chaotic, unknowable, right? Now these two, over on the right, are ordered. One comes after the other, in time and space, nice and on. The ones on the other side, unordered. They don't come one after each other. Here's the trick. 90% of organizations are in this gap in the middle, disordered, where they do not even know that there is a domain for them to pay attention to, right? So if you're in the chaotic world, you might want to jump over and see whether you can gain control. If you're in complex, you might want to try and understand. If you're in complicated, you might want to standardize. Gosh, doesn't that sound seductive? You've got to be so careful of the obvious realm, because there's a trap. You can lose control from obvious and fall into the chaotic through complacency and bingo, catastrophe. Anybody remember Kodak? They invented digital cameras, for God's sakes. But they looked at them and went, it's patently obvious, film's still going to be the way to go. It's obvious to us. They got complacent. So you've got to be so careful with that. You also have to recognize that in a lot of these dirty, great big systems that we all work with, how many people are on the engineering teams in Visa?
How many?
Thousands? Right. Big systems. If you ever had one of those nightmares where you do a big bang integration, everything worked until you put it together, right? And then it all falls to pieces. That's chaotic, right? And wouldn't it help if you had a simple lens like this, so you could just look at stuff and go, management, some of this is going to be here, we can actually give you an estimate for that. Some of this we're going to have to figure out over here. If we don't allow for the possibility of this somehow, we could get into these realms of complicated, complex, chaotic, and blow all of the promises that you've made. That's why we're going to have to take a different approach to things. All right? This is really helpful. You're getting a copy of this deck as a PDF afterwards and references at the end. So there you go, that's why this is here. It's just so you've got a single snapshot to have a look at. Okay, let's put that one over there. Now, next one, tech debt. You all know what tech debt is, don't you? Yeah? All that part of stuff that you said you'd get back to at some point. Well, I want you to get something. There's actually a reason for it being called technical debt. It's not just a term that got thrown at that pile of stuff that you've been ignoring. Technical debt is the additional cost of adding new features. So you're going to add this $2 million feature, but then you've got to break it to management that you're going to have to spend $10 million getting ready for that $2 million feature. That's tech debt. Now, if you've got a really well-organized company, your organization's got it down, and you can just follow this nice, productive, straight line of predictability, and there are companies that can do that. That's what that might look like. Why I call it robust? Done, I'll come to in a minute. Now let's say you're a go-getting startup, and you're going to rush into the market, and you've beaten all of the others to it. Never mind that the code's crap, we're there. Woo! And then somebody phones up and says, we'd actually like you to scale this to 1 million users by the end of next week, please. And you're like, wow, there's no way we can do that. Because what you've done is flatten out this curve of your ability to get things done and created this enormous yellow triangle of technical debt. Does anybody here ever work at YouTube? No, they had a project called InnerTube. Do you remember InnerTube? 6 months of rework?
I started working with you 2 days ago.
Oh, did you? Okay, we'll ask them about it. All right, that's so good. Anybody here ever work at LinkedIn? That was another company that very nearly stopped functioning completely. And they snuck somebody in who knew a little bit about actually how to rebuild their architecture. Somebody from, I believe, Facebook, don't quote me on that. And spent 6 months working on it, and then they got bought by Microsoft. Funny that. I worked at Nest for a while, and they very wisely stopped work in one area and spent 3 months rebuilding stuff, because otherwise they just realised that they were getting more and more bogged down. There's almost no big company without a big story about dealing with tech debt. You want to try and avoid it in the first place, though, right? Debt. Okay? So, you know your quiz questions? Have a look at the one that just got passed in front of you. Do you agree with it? The answer? If so, +1. Yay, that was easy. If you disagree with it, or if you just want to add to it, add your own answer to it. Okay?
So do we pass back?
No, they're just going to keep going around to the right. It's all right. And you can even have a look at the number 3 that got passed in front of you. Right? And put an answer in there. You see where we're going with this? We're actually building up at the table quite a reservoir of what you're dealing with.
So this was, he's done this several times. So this was a question.
Oh, sorry, if you joined in late, this would be very confusing.
This would be, well, we're supposed to be this like passing.
My mission is to confuse you. How am I doing?
Think about that answer.
Good, excellent. Right, let's take a minute with that.
47.
Is this his question?
No. He just asks us, write a question and then pass it. And then the next
I'm sorry, nobody gets out on one of my presentations without having to do a little bit of thinking for themselves.
What do
Sorry.
you mean by transformation?
Tough, I know. How are we doing? Anybody still writing? Still need a moment? No? Good. Okay.
This is 3.
So, do you remember on that last one, we had that notion of a good, solid sense of done? Have you heard of definition of done?
Next.
Hands up if you've heard of definition of done. Definition of ready? Yeah? I had a colleague who actually spent some time researching and writing a white paper. And his assertion was that a team introducing a really well-defined definition of done can reduce their rework by 50%. That'll do. Adding in a definition of ready would reduce it by a further 50%. So in other words, by 3/4, right? So how does that work? Well, definition of ready, a checklist that the team can use to satisfy themselves that their work actually is ready for them to commit to, right? So it could be, is the user story well formed? Are we clear about acceptance criteria? Do we have the tools? Do we have the environment? Do we have the skills? Whatever, right? And over here we've got a similar checklist that they've gathered up over time, which are things that they need to think about in terms of what they must do, what they should do, what they could do, what they won't do, to make sure they never need to touch that pesky thing ever again. Right? There is no 90% done in this world. And it works a bit like this. Here comes a nice user story, a nice sort of intention to produce some value. Does it meet the definition of ready? Yep, off we go. Add his work to it. Here you go, do a bit of work. Oh, look, it's a potentially deliverable product increment. Does it meet the definition of done? Yes! Let's give it to a happy end user. Ta-da! Isn't that an awesome slide? I'm so proud of that slide. Thank you very much. There you go. You're all good. Take it away. Thank you. Very good. So that was fun, but that's really serious. Any of you guys familiar with the idea of value stream mapping? It's a concept from the world of lean. Yeah? So there's been work done, value stream mapping in technology companies. Now, if you do this in a manufacturing company, the amount of addition of value compared to times when you're not adding value or even taking value away over a go to woe value stream map, typically 20 to 30% of value add, right? Good solid manufacturing company. What do you think the equivalent is in technology? That from starting something till it's done, for how much of that are you actually adding value? Any idea?
Features.
Throw me some numbers.
5%.
5%. Anybody else? Well, that's the very best.
Yeah.
On average, it's 2.5 to 3%. So, in some regards, oh my God, what? That's appalling! And yet, we're all still in business. But then when you think about it, it's like, oh. So, if we were the very best, and 95% of what we do is actually waste, if we could make that 94%, we could go from 5% to 6%. 20% uplift. That'd be nice. So in a way, it's incredibly good news. So when you look at the old definition of done and definition of ready, and realize that a team could squeeze out up to 3/4 of their rework, that's a big chunk of waste gone. Wow. Right? So don't step over that. Any of you Scrum Masters ever had trouble getting your teams to actually write down their definition of done? And I get it, because they're like, oh my God, I'm signing this in blood, I'll be in trouble. It doesn't have to be that way. So, how do you actually get to the little bite-sized chunks of value? Well, it's pretty straightforward. Here's our friend, the potentially deliverable product increment, right? A little chunk of work, so it's complete, and there's some value in there. And he's part of something bigger, and he's got some buddies, right? And the bigger thing is maybe even part of something bigger. And there's some other middle-sized ones and other little ones. This is not rocket surgery, right? Work breakdown structure. You've all seen something like this. Thanks, Steve. Do I owe you money as well?
No, I'm just listening carefully the way you talk.
Okay. Well, the thing is, how do you do that and still have those things be valuable? Well, my buddies at Agile Learning Labs have 4 different ways. This guy, Go Edzik, who's one of the geniuses of product, has his hamburger method. Agile for All put together this flowchart, and there's a good old-fashioned thin vertical slice. I can do a day-long workshop in story splitting. I have never seen a story that we couldn't split. People come in going, you don't understand, this is going to take 3 months. Okay, let's take a look. We can always find ways of breaking it down to the size that a team can actually look at and go, oh, well, actually, no. That we could do. We could get that done inside a sprint, or at least a reasonable period of time. That we could do, right? So there's that being tucked away. See, I was trying to get a picture here. So, how are we doing with our questions? You should have just had some new ones passed in front of you. So what I'd like you to do now is read the card number 3 that got put in front of you and see whether you would actually want to update it. If you've not seen the card number 2 before, do the same thing.
Oh.
Right?
You should, because that's my answer. So, let me see the 3. Yeah, okay.
And then what you're going to do? How are we doing? 6:50, that's good. We're going to take a break in a minute. what I want you to do is to actually summarize what I've told you so far. Just 1 or 2 sentences on a new card, number 4. All right? I'll let you take a couple of minutes longer on this one.
What do we need to do?
Because I promise you, by the time we're done, there's going to be some things written down at your table that you're going to want to remember.
A
you may
summary
want to take away.
of everything so far.
Yeah, just a little summary. And once again, once you've updated the 2 and the 3 and written something on 4, you know what you're going to do? You're going to pass it to the right. There's only 2 of you at the table. You must be getting sick of seeing the same questions go past all the time. You'll be fine, mate. You'll be fine. Okay, how are we doing? Still a little bit of writing going on. Give it another few seconds. Okay, Anoop, I'm going to hand back to you for the break.
Sure.
Okay, and guys, when we come back, we're going to start to put this together and actually get a little bit of the how down. How do you actually put this together so you've got a real sense that from top to bottom in any size organization, you can use some of what we're talking about here, and there's way more as well, to actually start to become wildly successful. Right? Because that's the big commitment. The big commitment is that we get to align the way how people work with the way how work works, ideally so it no longer occurs as work, and everybody benefits. And that you guys have a working life that you're grateful for, and that there's a trail of people behind you grateful that you did that work. That work is no longer something for you to just survive, right? We're going to take a look at that when we come back after the break. Over to you.
Thank you. 2 things I learned about you. 2 new things. One is you're seriously funny.
I'm very, very serious.
And the second thing is you're a great graphic artist.
Thank you, Dave. Good. I do owe you money.
So
That's very good. Thank you. By the way, there's a slide later that's rubbish, and I really need help with it. So if anybody could help me with it, would be good. Back to you, mate.
All right. So let's take a quick break. We'll be back by 7:05. So if you need to take a restroom break, you have to go out, make friends with the security, and then they'll let you in. Sorry about that. But take a moment to introduce yourself to 5 new people so that you can increase some business for LinkedIn. All right? We'll see you back at 7:05.
And bring it to a new meeting. And so I hope you can share some of this when you leave here today. It's called About. And when I think the A in About, I'm not talking about Andrew from Australia who spoke to us tonight, who all too often wants to be called an Aussie, and because he spent some time in Queensland, originally from the UK. It's about Agile and making successful projects delivered in Agile organizations throughout the US. I'm committed to that. I'm committed to each person in this room's Agile project so that we can have amazing success in our companies. When I think about the B, I ask everyone in the room to join me in creating bully-free leadership organizations. That's something that I'm absolutely committed to. I think that bullying in the workplace has no business being there. I think it costs money and it wastes time. So I ask you to join me in my commitment to that. The O, this is a big one. It's that others matter. Opinions matter. People want to have a voice. Their discussions are as valid as yours. So remember that when you're in your sprints and you're doing different things, that your customers matter, your colleagues matter, business matters. Listen to others. When I talk about the you, I'm talking about understanding, asking for clarification, not waiting to the end. Isn't it important for us to know what our customers want, what our colleagues are thinking, what somebody means when they write something on a sticky note? Let's not, as Andrew was talking about, let's not wait till the end till we're out of money. We need more money and our project is tanked, right? We're nowhere near finished. So ask for clarification. And just to wrap it up, the T is for together. Embracing each other, embracing the challenges of Agile, and not just for your project, not just for your company, but for all the industry here, for the U.S., as a global organization on the world stage, make that your commitment. Thank you.
Super.
Great nuggets. All right, so the next one we have is by our friend Steve, and he's going to talk about predictability.
I knew you were going to do that.
He's so predictable.
And you have 3 minutes.
I know.
Does this work?
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
All right, I got only 3 minutes. This is a big topic, so I'm going to be really shallow. So Andrew already asked if there's managers, and a bunch of people raised their hand. There's also people who aren't writing software code in this room. So if you're responsible for delivering work that other people are doing, so you're relying on these other people for you to fulfill your promise, I'm talking about predictability for you. So somebody who is your boss says, can you do this for me, or you will do this for me, and you say, okay. Later, other people get finished with stuff, and then you get to say, look, I'm done. So there's, within Agile, there's breaking work into stories, assigning story points, and then predicting velocity, or calculating velocity, and then using velocity as a way to predict what's going to be done when. That wasn't designed for people like you. So something that was designed for people like you is probabilistic forecasting. It's very sophisticated. It's very, very simple. The sophistication is just a bunch of math that proves that it's correct. But you don't need to worry about any of that. Essentially what you just do is you track the lead time. So it means you start the clock when work gets started, stop the clock when the work gets done. So if the work in your level of management is something like a giant epic when it comes to a Scrum team. Scrum team says, oh, we can't start that. It's not, it needs to get broken down. You don't need to worry about that. If somebody says, I need you to deliver X, when you commit, at that commitment point, that basically means you've decided we will start this, we have started it, people are working on it. Start the clock. When it's completely finished and delivered, and so if that's defined as, we've got a certain amount of revenue on it after some tweaking in the market, or it's just been pushed to the server and the bank said yes. Whatever that finish point is, the finish point. Just track that lead time. And so what you're going to end up with is a distribution of like 4 of those types of projects took 30 days. 15 of them took 35 days. 6 of them took 40 days. 1 of them took 50 days. 1 of them took 120 days. You're going to get some kind of a distribution. So then your effort as a manager to make sure you can be more predictable is you spend your effort on differentiating the different types of work. A new feature is usually quite different than just fixing something that already exists or improving something. Then you can be predictable.
Cool. Always a pleasure. Steve has been our featured guest as well a few months ago. It's always great to listen to your nuggets. All right, so the third one is from our Fred Fowler, and his topic is live online training. I hope it's not an ad of live online training. All right, I know it's not. Fred, good to see you here.
Okay. Hello. Am I?
Yes, you are.
Audible?
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, you can't hear it up there.
How many people like working? I'm an old Scrum Master. How many people like working with teams that are scattered all over the world?
Mm-hmm.
Not very many
Life
people.
is a stretch.
Yeah.
Okay. Usually it's very difficult because the communications are so bad. Okay. Well, lately I've discovered that the world of video conferencing lately has improved greatly. And to the point where there's some new tools. There's one that I'm especially happy with. It's called Blue Jeans. Anybody use Blue Jeans? Okay.
What's the name again?
Blue Jeans. It's a young company. They're in Mountain View. But basically, I've used Blue Jeans to have face-to-face. Well, I teach classes, and I've got face-to-face classes with people who are in very different locations. And you know what? It works. It could have blown me over with a feather, but by gum, it works. So maybe there's hope for these teams that are all over the world. If we could just hope that the video conferencing tools get better and better. Right now, I'm teaching classes. I've got a class I just started. It's an advanced Scrum Mastery, and I've got a student in Germany, and it works great. So anyway, if you have looked at video conferencing else in the past, and it hasn't looked very promising, have another look. You might just be surprised.
Wow.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I'm proud of you. All right. So great tip there, Fred. Really is helpful for all of us because we all are, working with the teams offshore. All right. So let's get back to our lovely topic of tonight.
Excellent.
Andrew.
Good. Thank you for those lightning talks. That's really good. Nancy, I'll be dealing with a whole area where people go, that's like what Nancy just said. That's really good. And you're right about distributed teams. I mean, for a long time it was the dogma that, oh no, you've got to be in the room. Well, the reality is that there are lots of people who aren't. So how do we manage that? And it's figuring it out, isn't it? Now there are tools that make it a lot easier. And predictability, we're definitely hitting on that one. So very good, very good. I mean, for those of you who are new to this whole Agile thing, you come to a few of these meetups and you really start to see, it's an elephant. We're all putting stickers onto this shape that reveals itself. You're like, yeah, this is actually how it is. And it's really worth understanding that there's all of this stuff where we're talking about Agile software development. It's not really something where you have to look at it and go, well, I don't know whether I believe in that or not. That's a bit like saying that you don't know whether you believe in physics. It's just, that's how things work, right? Anyhow, let's get back to it, and I'll see whether I can get you to the point where we think that that is so. So, where were we? Let's have a look.
Wow.
So we've got all of these dimensions that we've dealt with so far. You're starting to get a little bit of a sense of what it is that you're grappling with. That's why we're working on these cards. Now, a couple of times I've already used this phrase, iterative and incremental. You've probably seen these slides before. I cannot take credit for them. They're from a fellow called Jeff Patton, whose name will come up again later. And oh my goodness me, read the guy's books. He's just stunning. So, let me walk you through this. Incrementing means doing things a bit at a time. And here we have this artist who has this concept of this fabulous, beautiful, detailed painting. And he has a patron who's going to pay him for it. So he gets started on the painting. Can he sell that bit to the patron? No. Can he deliver this one? No. This one?
Maybe.
No, this one?
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe, if he's got a nice bit with a window in it, and you can put the painting around the window. But, this one, yes, this one, that's what he's going to get the money for, right? But he learned something as he did that, and so next time he had a patron, what he did was this. He realized that doing it incrementally means that you don't get paid till you get to the end. So he realized that he'd be a little bit more conceptual Right, I don't know exactly what it's going to look like, but it's going to be a woman in a pastoral setting. So, patron, do you like this? Yeah, but what's that thing with the finger in the mouth? What's that? That's weird. Can you do something about that? Yeah, sure. Do you like this? Yeah, that's better. I was hoping for something more colourful. Like this? Yeah, that's a bit too cheerful. Can we go more somber? Yeah. Okay, great. Bit of detail with that, right? But for any of those, the patron may have gone, sweet, here's money. This company is trying to build an electric car. So is this one. They're going to build a Tesla. These guys start with the roller skate. And they're making money from roller skates while they build skateboards. And they're making money from skateboards while they're building scooters, while they're building lawnmowers, while they're building golf carts. And in fact, they've cleaned up in the golf cart market. These guys still haven't finished building a Tesla. It ain't iterative if you only do it once. Right? That's so important. Because you actually don't know what your customers want, nor do they. Right? As Henry Ford once said, if I asked my customers what they wanted, they'd have said faster horses. Right? So what you're doing is coming up with an idea, preferably based on observation of something that's causing them some pain. Right? And then you have to come up with a way of actually solving that. And then you've got to experiment to find out if you're right. And you want to do that by this afternoon, not by 2020. Right? That's the idea. That's how you keep steering towards actually getting value. Right? Well, what is this value thing? Right? Anybody tell me what they think value might mean? Hello?
Customers willing to pay for it?
Customers willing to pay for it. When do they pay for it?
Hopefully as soon as possible.
Yeah, but it's usually at the end, isn't it? So that's one of the problems. That if you think that value means money, money is a trailing indicator. By the time the money actually shows up, it's too late. So we need something to act as a proxy for what's actually valuable to customers, right? So, what we all want is to see things go up to the right, make some profit, right? And that could come from developing more customer value. It could come from making savings. What do savings look like? I don't know, it could be dealing with risk and compliance, Equifax. It could be from better infrastructure. It could be from how we run the business. We might do a reorg, right? How do we increase customer value? Well, maybe we'll do some research, maybe we'll do some marketing, maybe we'll improve customer relations. The research might be new ideas that actually bubble up from our guys. It might be improving existing products. It might be fundamental R&D. I don't know. It's going to be different in each situation, right? But I want you to get the point that there's a whole range. And if any of you are in a publicly traded company, you've got this one at the top. Oh, share price. Sorry about that. If you get a bunch of us Agilists drunk, we want to fix HR, thank you Nancy, we want to fix facilities, we want to fix accounting, and eventually get us drunk enough, we want to fix the stock market. Because working in companies that have to make a promise for years hence, and you said you'd hit 200 and you hit 197, and the stock market says you're a failure, and nobody's getting their bonus this year. Really? Anyhow. When I actually figure out how to fix capitalism, I'll do a meet-up on that. Sound good? Okay, very good. Now here's the point I want you to get. There's many different dimensions to value. And over the life of a product or an organization, they're going to vary. But if you can actually identify what they are, you can measure them. And these can actually be the real useful metrics that your company might want to track. Whether it's on a dashboard, or simply by having people well enough educated to look around the workspace and see all of the burn downs and burn ups and task boards and understand what they mean, right? When I was working at PayPal, there was a wonderful bit of work done just by a couple of guys there who'd figured out a way of actually identifying the dimensions of value for the product area they were working in. And so what they did was make sure that no work went into Jira. Jira was the tool they were using, without it being connected to one of these dimensions of value, and all of them bubbled up to a KPI. So that when somebody said to these teams, how are you doing? Go on here, we'll show you. And it meant something. And it wasn't just going, we're doing really well, we're really busy, we're very productive. They were actually like, no, all of this stuff that we're doing, that actually we have connected up to our KPIs, and this is still hypothetical, but it is based on what we've observed, other things that will actually lead to customer value, and improved revenue, and improved customer retention, all of those good things. They actually had this all available. You know how so many people in management think they're paid for decision making? Cut it out. Use the data instead. Decision making is really just one of those vanities of business. Decision maker, which is about looking good, but being willing to actually take a risk, absent the data. Well, sometimes you're not going to have the data. Sometimes, sure enough, you are going to have to take that risk. I get it. But it's just wildly irresponsible to be barging in going, yeah, we're really productive, when you haven't got any clue about whether you're being productive about something that's useful or not. Do you get it? I should have prefaced all of this by going, I'm passionate, not angry. Or I'm not yelling at you. I'm yelling about this. All right, you got it? So let's tuck that one away as well. That's good. All right, very good. Okay, you remember we've got all of these? So you're going to look at all three of the cards that you've got, 2, 3, and 4. And I'd like you to spend a few minutes just reading through them. All right? And I want you to now talk with each other at your tables, please. Because we're going to have a longer moment, after I've done another couple of things, where I'm going to want to hear back from the tables. In particular, the summaries of what you've been learning. I want somebody at each table to be willing to stand up and go, okay, this is what we think is the cool thing. All right? Now, not this time around. Right now, you're just going to talk to each other, have a look at your summaries, discuss what's there. Let's take, I don't know, 4 minutes? So how are you going to put this together? Do you remember we were thinking about predictability? Anybody got a crystal ball? Time machine? Yeah, sorry. This is the next best thing. So this also is from Jeff Patton. So when you're writing a piece of code, when you're producing some kind of product like that, there's always going to be some kind of user experience. Some beginning, middle, and end. Some input, transformation, and output, right? Always. That's just how it is, right? And when you're writing that in English, you can get the steps, and you can notice them if you're using conjunctions like and then. I log in, and then I enter my information, and then I click OK, right? So you can actually see there's a bit of a flow there. And what you can do is start to deconstruct these big chunks into smaller chunks. And you might notice that you've got conjunctions like by. I open the dialog box by clicking the button. And I enter my username, and I enter my password. Right? So there's ways of breaking it down. In fact, you might then be able to think in terms of necessity. What's the bare bones version? Necessity, that's a good word. That's another word that sounds a bit like value, isn't it? Right? So you can start to think about adding something in here with some ors. Those conjunctions, those little joining words, incredibly helpful way of actually being able to write a story about what needs to be done and looking for how you could break it up. Right? Let me just say a little something about a story. You know, we use the term user story, right? Well, I took a few months off to try and write a book, and I'm still working on it. And along the way, I came to understand an enormous amount about narrative. Do you remember that curve for 200,000 years? Well, we only had writing from about 5,000 years ago. up to that point, this thing that holds our ears apart, gathered the patterns from the past that it could find useful in the future from two ways. Direct experience, you get chased by a bear, right? You learn that running away from bears is good. Or from stories about that one time that Bill was chased by a bear. And your subconscious, the thing that's tucking away these patterns, doesn't give a damn. It doesn't care where it gets this from, right? Our brains are literally built for stories. It is so wise that we describe what we're trying to build by writing user stories. Who's this for? Who is this person? What is it? Okay. Why is it important? How do we know that we've done that? That format of user story, your brain is literally designed to go, oh, I get it. Your brain is not designed to deal with requirements, which are specifications of how a system should work. Don't make any sense to your brain, right? So anyway, that was a little sidebar, that was a bonus. So what we're doing here is trying to create stories. And what if we need to do them over time and elaborate them over time, just like the dear old Mona Lisa? So if these lines are representing different planning periods, call them sprints, call them releases, I don't know, it depends on the granularity of what you're doing. You can start to break them up. What if you're in a fairly complicated environment where there's multiple teams that need to work on this? Now we have a green team, a red team, and a blue team, right? And they're all going to work on step A, step B, and step C, making their contributions to this giant chunk of functionality. And that's all very good, but how would you turn that into a release plan? Well, it already is. All you have to do is turn it on its side. There you go, there's your release plan. And it would probably reveal dependency. Who knew dependency is a value? What do you know? Something that is dependent on something else, that something else is more valuable. You do that first. Now that sounds simple, I know, and there's a lot more to it than that, but I want you to get that it's actually fundamentally pretty straightforward. And if you were to look at any of the big scaling frameworks like SAFe, Large Scale, Agile, LESS, DAD, any of those big frameworks, they're all kind of dealing with exactly the same thing, right? Let's put that away on one side. Story mapping that then turns into release planning. That's kind of the secret sauce of planning at scale. There's a little bit more to it than that. This is what is known as the planning onion. Some people put 6 layers in, I prefer this one with 5. And here's the idea. Up at the top here, vision. This sort of maps onto the purpose of, say, a whole organization, right? It's set by executives, and it gives the direction. Gosh, what would be a good example? PayPal, that's lovely. Their whole thing was democratizing payments. What they did, contributed to democratizing payments, or they didn't do it. Right? That's straightforward. Then you have to come up with a portfolio of products that contribute to this purpose. And execs can't do that on their own, so they pull in management, typically product management, typically including product marketing people who might have actually gone out and looked in the real world to see what might be a useful product to have out there. Then management can actually take this to the teams and break it down into something that could be built over what I call a release planning period, could be a quarter, depends on the organization. And we tend to call those epics. An epic, by its definition, is a dirty, great big story. It's too big for one team to do in one sprint, right? And typically, it represents an imagined minimum marketable feature, something that you could actually sell, right? Then your team would want to break that down into actual stories that they could commit to inside an iteration if they're using a Scrum-like approach, or just inside a reasonable period of time if they're using Kanban or something. And every day, they're going to deal with the tasks. So let's just get clear what I mean by this. Stories, for whom, what, and why. Tasks, by whom and how. Stories deliver units of value. Tasks are getting shit done, right? Another technical term. For those of you who don't speak French. Okay? And so the tasks of this, oops, beg your pardon, let me back up with it. Whoa, easy tiger, there we go. The tasks are what the team are actually dealing with day to day. And if you're a team that's doing stand-ups, if they look like a status report, stop it. Stand-up is not a status report. It's not saying this is where we are. What it's doing is going, you know what, we said, and we had a plan to get to the end of this sprint with these units of functionality done, these stories done. How are we doing? And so those classic 3 questions are basically going, look, this is what I did. This is what I'm going to do or how I'm available. And these are the things that I met that might prevent us from fulfilling on that plan. Us as a team, right? If you go around the team doing that every day, it's not going to take longer than 15 minutes. A Scrum Master or somebody with the equivalent role, Agile Team Facilitator, whatever you want to call them, will be making note of the things that need to be dealt with. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But the point is that there is information flowing down and flowing up, and it's moving the whole time. And it's moving something like this. Every day there's a rhythm. Every iteration there's a rhythm. Every quarter or release there's a rhythm. The entire portfolio has a rhythm. The entire organization has a rhythm. Now, if you'd just like to watch the screen, and watch the screen and put your wallet on the table, it's going to work one day. Anyhow, so this is the rubbish slide I was telling you about, but it gives you a little bit of a sense. You've got these different cadences. And here in the future is this dirty, great big fog bank. And you got your team in their little boat. Right, and you've got the portfolio guys in their bigger boat. You've got the organisation and its great big steamer. And life is coming at them and they're bobbing up and down. I couldn't get it to bob up and down. I really tried, I couldn't get it. Right? But you get the idea, that's kind of what it looks like. If anybody knows a really good graphic artist or somebody that's really, really good at PowerPoint, have a word with me afterwards, I'd love to fix that up. But you get it. There is a cadence to this. And the kind of planning that you're doing would be at a level of detail that makes sense to the level in the planning onion that you're working at. Right? That vision is going to be very vague. The portfolio, a little bit more precise. The release plan, a lot more precise. The iteration plan, very precise. The tasks are turning things into reality. And once you've got some reality, you can bulk that information back up and replan. What do you know? Right, does that make sense? Okay. This is where I need you guys to actually start to get a little bit more involved, all right? Do you remember I asked you to have a look at the table? What it is that's actually the most interesting thing at the table. So, 4, 8, 9. So, give me a number between 8 and 10. Good, very good. So I want to hear 9 things, right, that people are going, yeah, this is something that I'm really starting to get. Right? Who wants to go first? And stand up and be loud so that we can all hear you. Yeah, so I want one person, that'll be 1. Then I want another person, that'll be 2. Right? Good.
Focus on producing the highest value first, with the least effort first.
Good. Should we go home now? I think that was kind of done. Brilliant. Focus on the highest value, least effort thing first. That's 1. What's another one?
Definition of done, you can say potentially 50%.
Yeah.
Definition of ready, another quarter.
Yeah, awesome. That's 2. We got to make it. Let's see how we go. Right, do I hear 3?
A definition of value.
What's the definition of value? Very good. By the way, if you're like, how do you get to this definition of value? Talk to me afterwards. I can do it in an hour, right? But you'll need to bring your whole team. I can do it in an hour. right? This doesn't need to be something you drag out all year.
Agile is an adjective.
Thank you. Yes. Oh, my mom would be so proud of you. She used to teach grammar. Thank you. That's very good. Number 4.
If you do it only once, it cannot be incremental. Agile is iterative and incremental.
Yes, iterative and incremental. Very good. Thank you. That's 5. 6.
Manage your technical debt. Minimize it as much as you
Yes.
can.
Yes. Absolutely. I mean, drive that waste out. Right? So 6. We're getting there. 7. Do I hear 7?
You're welcome.
Come on, we can do 7. All right. Oh.
You can't plan to accomplish the things you don't know about.
You can't plan to accomplish the things you don't know about. That's good. That's a bumper sticker, isn't it? Very good. So that's 7. Can we do 8? Go on.
At the beginning, you said, you mentioned the CFO.
Uh-huh.
And so people that care about money may very much care about Agile.
Yes. Yes. That CFO is going to be the kind of person who's like, oh really, I need a date. And you can give them a date. You guys are all familiar with the idea of an iron triangle. Fixed scope, fixed price, fixed time. And traditionally, if you fix all 3 of those, what's going to give way? Quality, right? Well, let me let you into a little secret. There's no such thing as fixed scope. There's no such thing as fixed scope, right? When we do story mapping, what we're saying is this will be whole, perfect, and complete, just not very good. This will be whole, perfect, and complete, and a bit better. This will be whole, perfect, and complete, and a lot better. This one, the whole shebang, right? Now, if it turns out that there's what we don't know that we don't know in there that's going to make us late, we're still going to deliver something on time that is whole, perfect, and complete. And version 1.1 will have the rest. Right? You got it? There is no such thing as fixed scope. But don't tell anybody I told you that, all right? That's a big secret. So we've got to 8. Number 9.
Once you reach a state of no knowns,
Yeah.
you get completion, you fall back into chaos.
Yes! Remember poor old Kodak. Oh, you want a bonus? We're going to go for 10. Yes? Go for it.
From chaotic environment, gain control to avoid catastrophe.
Good. Good, yeah. If it turns to chaos, recognize that it's chaos. And I know it's tough, but usually when it's in chaos, people start to make it mean something about themselves. Right? That's where you need people like Scott, who is an extraordinary coach at dealing with people. Because most of those impediments, you know that 95% waste, where do you think it shows up? Between your ears and between each other. Right? You get that stuff dealt with. Anyhow, get the point. So that's good. So those are things that you learn. Now, have a little bit of a look. I'm not going to do that now. Hang on, let me have a look. Let me just have a look. Am I going to do that now? No, we're not. I'm going to come back to something in a minute. Because what I'm just going to do right now is pull together for you Scrum. Scrum. There are other things I could have put in here. I could have put in Kanban, or I could have put in a whole bunch of things. But I want to show you how Scrum actually pulls all of this together. It's not difficult. You've got a backlog. Up here is the big, vague stuff where you're really not sure what it's going to look like because you haven't spent time breaking it down yet. Because why would you? Because it's probably going to be months till you get to it. But over time, your dear old product owner has taken responsibility for making sure that the work can be expressed in finer and finer granularity. Until you get to a point where in a sprint planning session, the team could actually go, we will commit to this as a sprint backlog. Right? Now that means that it's past the definition of ready. That means that all of this has actually been developed just in time. Are you all familiar with the idea of last responsible moment? It's such a doozy. Not last moment, That's like, right? The last responsible moment means, okay, well, we're 2 sprints out from that one, we should start to think about decomposing it and getting it sorted out. So that the next sprint, if we're planning for the sprint after, we know what we're talking about. Right? That's the last responsible moment. Once the team have committed to a sprint backlog, some people don't use the term committed, they use the term forecast. Tomato, tomato. The point is that the team should be in a position to go, no, if you want us to do any more, we're not going to be able to do a good job. We think we can do this. If we do a bit less, we'll put something else in, so have it ready for us. But when we say we're going to do this, we're going to do it. That's what we're about for this sprint, all right? And during the sprint, they all iteratively and incrementally add value to produce potentially deliverable product increments. Every day, they check that they're still going to be able to do what they said that they would do back here, right? A really high-performing team relates to what they say as literally who they are. A high-performing team that says, we're going to build this, you can count on it. That's who we are. That's a great team, right? And they will or they won't, right? If they don't, they're still going to, at the end of the sprint, we come back to the Scrum Master in a moment, in the review and demo, they're going to show everybody who's got an interest in what they're doing, not what they've just achieved, but also what they didn't achieve. We say we built this, we didn't. Here's why. Because in a good review, it's not just feedback from the product owner telling the team that they've done a good job. It's where you actually have people in there going, I know we said blue, but now we see it, we can't mean turquoise. And it's a chance for the team to say, you remember you asked for that sort of wristband time machine? It's going to take longer than 2 sprints, right? I know we said we might be able to, it's not, it's going to take a bit longer. It's feedback in both directions. But the point is, this fella, the Scrum Master, well, a good Scrum Master is going to know everything I've told you already today. Right? A really good Scrum Master, they're going to be all over this stuff. So that they can be somebody who can actually help coach these guys. And by coach, I don't mean boss around and tell them what to do. I mean be somebody who's actually responsible for going, good, I'm going to provide you with everything that you need. I'm going to help release all of that fantastic potential in you guys. I'm going to represent you to the rest of the organization. I'm going to facilitate where we need to actually coordinate with the rest of the organization. I'll do everything I can to develop relationships with powerful people around the organization so that I protect you from all of that nonsense, right? It's a heck of a job. It's a fantastic... I mean, you've been an old Scrum Master, right? Does this sound familiar? Yeah. Yeah. Then at the end of each sprint, you have a retrospective. This is not a post-mortem. Nobody died, right? A retrospective is going, okay, well, what did we learn? What worked? Do we want to keep doing that? If it didn't work, what could we do instead? What could we try? Do we want to take a week off and go bowling all week because we're sick to death of this? Right? It's where the team actually pays attention to itself and takes on growing, right? And all of this in service of producing, like your old friend, a potentially shippable product increment. Notice the word potentially. Facebook sends stuff live to the site, I gather, about once every 17 seconds. Wow. So as soon as they finish something, they've got such good technical automation in place that they're actually in a position to go, run the tests, everything's fine, I'm going live, good. There are financial institutions that may only go live once every couple of years, because otherwise they're going to freak out their customers, right? But if they're wise, they would have staging environments where they could go live once every 17 seconds. So when they're actually ready to go, oh, we're going to roll it out, they know it works, right? That's why we say, potentially. Scrum. You see how it kind of deals with a little bit of everything. So, I'd like you to have a look at number 1, the one you wrote right back at the beginning. The 3 things that you thought we might be covering. If there's any that we covered, cross it out. If there's any that you now look at it and go, whoops, that was a stupid idea, Right? Now's your chance to cross it out, pretend you never wrote it. Okay? If there are any that you're like, you know what, I would still really like to hear something about that. We've got a couple of minutes, now's your chance. Has anybody still got anything on those three things where they're like, I want to know? Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Self-organization.
Self-organization, okay. So, can I answer that with the next thing? I actually think I've got one more point I'm really going to make, and I think it'll actually really point to that.
Okay.
Right? That's really good. Thank you. I love it. Anybody here also do presentations or training? Right? Do you love that moment when people start to ask questions about the thing that's coming next? It's really good. Thank you. Right, another one.
I understand that you asked if we want something else, because this is what I would like to ask.
Mm-hmm.
Now we talk about how you incorporate change
Mm-hmm.
in this agile environment, because this is very important.
Yes, it's fundamental to it. So the point is, let's back up to here. How you incorporate change is that inside this is still basically saying that's the direction that we're going in. Now, if you're in an organization that goes, now we're going to plan every last thing for the next 2 years to take us there, good luck, because life's going to change, and the rest of the world will be over there, and you're over here, and oh dear. Yeah? So you don't plan that kind of detail. Because what you might find is that somewhere down here, I don't know, your competitor releases something that's actually better than the thing you were trying to do. So what are you going to do? Well, that would be the point to go, good, we've got an organization in place who are really good at doing market research, we're well connected with our customers. How can we take what we do and pivot? Have you heard the term pivot before? Mm-hmm. Right. How can we accommodate this change? Now, I could spend days talking about this. Because when you're in a really powerful, agile organization, they've stopped seeing change as a threat. They've started to embrace it and actually see change as the thing that's allowing them to keep moving. And if you're a truly agile organization, you're like, good, change. We can react faster than the other guys.
But trying to incorporate or trying to convince our organizations or to restart, to rethink about agile, we need to incorporate change and
Absolutely.
keep it away. And I would like some more.
Well, right, now here's the thing. It's hard. It is hard. Because do you remember that whole thing about 200,000 years of humans not liking to deal with change? Do you remember I said there were 3 things that kept us safe, and I only said there were about 2? Right? The third one is fear. Well, yeah, fear. You see, I mean, if you've gone, well, life has kept me alive doing all of these things, and now there's one I've not seen before. Right? We're not organized around being comfortable about change. It's why it takes people like me and Scott and Steve and all of these other experienced agilists months, years working with organizations to actually get them to a point of, when I say this, I'm going to say this, emotional maturity, where they are capable of actually going, I'm scared. I was going to start yelling at you because I don't like being scared. I wanted to make it your problem. Sorry. Okay, I'm scared. Let's do this anyhow. Right, that takes something. So you're right. It's not easy. I haven't got a magic answer. But it's keeping people like me and Scott and Steve in business. That's enough for now.
Change is for sure the biggest fear.
Yeah. Okay, question.
I had a question about the rolling wage when you showed the. Can you go back to that animation that we had?
Well, let's see. Let's see.
How fast can you do it? You just have it.
Oh, that one?
Yeah.
Or the one before it?
No, this one.
This one, okay.
And now I'm curious because they're all synchronized.
Yes. Yes.
Is that necessarily the case, or is that important?
It makes a lot of sense if they're synchronized. Think of it this way. At the end of every sprint,
That's not necessarily the case.
No, but think of it this way. At the end of every sprint, you've now got fresh data, right? You've actually done some work. What you thought might happen as user stories is now something real, right? Now you've got some data to update the release plan. At the end of every release, you've got some real data. You could update the portfolio plan, right? So it makes sense to have these things synchronized. Now, they may not all happen on the same day, right? You may have to have a bit of staggering so you can get data distributed through the organization. But it makes absolute sense to have it be at a cadence and to try and avoid that horrendous thing of annual planning where everybody hears, oh my God, I'm going to write all of the stories for next year. Because what you can be doing is going, we could use this to always have, say, a 5-quarter plan or a 6-quarter plan that's always rolling. Right out there. Oh, we might have to change direction and go this way now, right? Do you see what I mean? So it does make sense to have some intention, something deliberate about it, something, dare I say, professional about it. Does that make sense? I think one more question, and then I'm going to wrap up with the closing points. Okay, good. Right, so just one more question, just a general question. Yes?
So how important is automated testing in Agile development?
Yeah, very good. So a lot of what I've shown you is the social automation. Right? Now, automation is about putting things into the obvious quadrant. Right? So it's going to be the same every time and reliable. It takes a certain amount of technical competence to be able to put things together so that you've got fully automated testing. But if you're going to have the highest performing organization, you're going to probably want to look at going, look, you've got this development stuff that happens after a whole bunch of dealing with customers to get some ideas, then we develop it, now we need to get it out there. That's a whole separate tool chain of things of taking this code and making it into something that's out in the world. So you probably want automated testing so that each time you run the test, you know you haven't broken something that already exists. You want to deal with automated integration, automated deployment. That's hard. Right? That's not my specialty. I haven't done that kind of thing in Agile for a long time. But you're absolutely right that for a mature, high-performing organization, you want to put as much as you can into simple, but no more. Do you remember that thing Einstein said? As simple as possible, but no simpler? And keep an eye on it. Because if that automation goes wheels up, that's chaos. Right? That makes sense? So thank you for calling it out. You get that I could actually make this whole thing into a master's degree. Right, so including everything in one thing. Thank you for just calling that one out. Right? Okay, I'm just going to make the last couple of points. All right? Who can tell me what the first line of the Agile Manifesto is?
Is it the 4 principles?
No. There's 4 values, there's 12 principles, but there's the first line. Right. No, that's a value. We are, thank you, good. We are uncovering better ways of developing software by doing it and helping others do it. Let's just take a look at that. We. Not I, not they. We. Us. Right? You and me. Not somebody else out there. This is the inclusive first person plural. It's us. Are. Not have, not will. This is talking about doing things in the present. In other words, all the time. When's the present? It's now. Oh, well, it's now. Well, that was then. It's now, right? We are. We're doing this all the time. Uncovering. It's not they have established, or we're going to sell, or it is the truth, right? We are uncovering. When you learn to pay attention, you'll reveal how things work, right? It's hard to pay attention because your brain's trying to go, well, it used to work, we'll do that, right? Poor old brain is still trying to be a hunter-gatherer, it can't help itself. We are uncovering. This is hard. Paying attention is hard. better. Not best, better. How do we know things are better? Well, to remember all of those dimensions of value, we need to measure something, right? Sometimes the measurement might be, is it better? Yes, no. That's a good measurement, right? Engineers always fall into this accurate, precise trap. Well, we can't measure it down to 15 decimal places, it's invalid. No, better could simply be, is it actually better? Yes, no. Yes, it is good. Ways. What are the ways? I don't know. We're going to have to uncover them. Now, maybe that you can uncover them by using some of the ones that other people have uncovered before. What we're talking about, automation, pairing, swarming. There's all kinds of approaches that people have used. But the point is, you don't know if they'll work for you or not. You're going to have to experiment. Nearly all of Agile thinking is based on the scientific method. Right? Reproducible experiment. Now, when this was originally written back in 2001, it was written as developing software. We are uncovering better ways of developing software. Thing is, do you remember that Agile was an adjective, and this is the Agile Manifesto. The manifesto itself has been found to be Agile. And there are many, many, many thinkers in this world going, oh, we're uncovering better ways of working, not just software, right? Working by doing it. It's us, the practitioners, that are uncovering this. It's you guys, bless you, right? And here's the big one, helping others do it. Well, firstly, you get a lot more done working with people than working against them. Just saying. Secondly, it speaks to this inclusive first-person plural, we. But there's a lovely principle in life. You can have whatever you want if you find enough other people and help them get what they want. Right? There's so much wisdom in this one line. We are uncovering better ways of working by doing it and helping others do it. Okay? Are we done? I say we are. Congratulations. Give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you very much. Now go back to work and do it. Okay, you get it? Go back to work. My name is Andrew Webster. I'm available for bar mitzvahs, weddings, funerals, and at your workplace. Thank you very much. You've been very good. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you. Amazing, amazing talk. I hope you got the same value as me here. I already see some of the takeaways being there. My own takeaways, if you look at it, at least definition of ready is really, really good. The CFO talk, super. Kinnaman.
All together now.
At least 3 I can think of, and there are many more. But I would like to ask each one of you, think about what are those takeaways? What did we learn today? 1 point per person. What did we learn today? What did we learn today? Think about it. Anyone?
I put one up there already.
All right, you can talk about that.
But so it's partly related to that, but one of the things that I've been thinking about is two-phase commitment, which is a difficult thing. And definition of done, definition of ready are not the same thing, but they're very complementary.
Super. Thank you, Steve. Yeah.
Never noticed that Agile Manifesto was Agile. Thank you for bringing that first sentence.
That's a good one.
Thank you, Susan. Anyone else? What did we learn today? Yeah.
So technology companies, 5% is value. And so if you increment that by 1, you're getting a
20% higher.
So most of them are less. It's right about 2.5 to 3%. So,
yeah. What else?
There is always a way to break down any story.
Splitting stories. Yep. There's always a way. Any more?
Inspiring slides.
Exactly. Yeah, graphic design.
I should say something about that. I'm going to make available a PDF of this.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'm not going to give you the PowerPoint. Around about 250 hours went into that one.
Yeah.
Right, so I ain't giving that away. But if anybody wants some tips on PowerPoint,
Okay, you can do a workshop on that?
yeah, why not?
Great. All right, so one more thing, and Maura is going to talk about some
PMI.
PMI.
So I just wanted to let people know that there's a change in location. So they used to have the first Friday of every month at Hobie's in Palo Alto for women in project management. This coming Friday, it's going to be held at Corner Bakery Cafe. It's just a few blocks down in Palo Alto. And guys, you're more than welcome to attend, but you know, it had been focused more on sort of project management. So again, the location has changed from Hobie's to Corner Bakery Cafe. It's on El Camino Real, 3375, and it should be on PMI Silicon Valley website. It's the first Friday every month from 5:30 till 7, and a discount for PDUs, for your continuum PDU. Fees for your
Great. Any announcement you want to make about symposium? It's coming up.
that's fine. It's there.
It's right over there?
Yeah.
Okay, PMI Silicon Valley chapter, you can read that over there. PMI Silicon Valley chapter has an annual symposium every year. It's on October 2nd and 3rd this year at Santa Clara Convention Center. Why do I know all this? It's because I'm speaking here as well. It's creating a value delivery office and extreme business agility. All right, so I would like to see your comments and retrospectives flooded up there, and I would like to see some takeaways as well. So if you can contribute at least one of your stickies with your comments to each one of those boards, that would be great. I see job board, and I see 4 of the jobs available for the 2 job seekers. I mean, really, 2 job seekers can get 4 of those jobs. You know, how powerful can that be, right? And I'm sure there are some people in the room who did not dare to write in the job seeker column, and that's okay. But all these pictures are gonna get uploaded to the event, the same event where you have RSVP. So you can always look at those notes there and contact information for the 4 jobs available. And all of those 4 have come from Margaret Modamed, who was here until 6:30, quarter to 7, who's been working with us at my division and now has recently moved to Palo Alto office. And so these are all visa recs that are open with her or around her. So thank you so much. I would like to see you next month. It's on October 18th, and really a similar powerful topic about precision Q+A, which is precision questions and answers. I have taken a workshop from that lady, Claire Dolan, 3 times in the last 5 years, 3 times. It's amazing. You want to come and experience that in about an hour and a half on that day, and you can see yourself how changed you are after you really take that talk and implement it in your life. It's powerful. You don't want to miss it. Go ahead, RSVP. We're going to have a lot of RSVPs for that event as well. So thank you so much for being here tonight. Give a big round of applause to yourself. Have a safe